Hello and welcome to Happy Horror Time. My name is Tim Murdoch.
And my name is Matt Emmert. If you've listened to this podcast for a bit, you know that we are huge fans of the House LLC series. We've interviewed the writer-director, Stephen Cognetti, the producer, Joe Bandelli, and we even screened the original film at our first live event last year. Well, we are continuing the Hell House love right now with today's special guest because we are chatting with both of the leads from House LLC Origins, The Carmichael Manor, which is the latest entry in this found footage horror franchise. And by the way, if you haven't seen this movie yet, we highly recommend that you either stream it on Shudder or now you can even rent it on any digital platform. We are so excited to welcome to the podcast Bridget Rose Perrotta and Destiny Brown.
Yay, we're so happy.
Hi, we are so happy. Joint interviews. We love joint interviews. We get the best of both worlds.
Yes, we got the two leading ladies.
We have the leading ladies. So first off, look, we want to, before we get into all the Hell House stuff, we want to hear about both of your backgrounds, like where you're from, how you first got into acting. So let's start with Bridget. Can you take us through kind of like your backstory? Because I read that you're both an actor and a singer, correct?
I am indeed. So I'm originally from Boca Raton, Florida. And I got my start in the theater world, kind of fifth grade-ish. And then I actually auditioned for the magnet school, middle school of the arts, and it worked out. And then I also went to the high school of performing arts. And then I went again in college. So it totaled to about 11 or 12 years of theater training and acting training. That also included musical theater, which was a lot of singing. And dancing, you know, I tried my very best, and we're going to put that back on the shelf. But yeah, it's a lot of acting training. And it was funny when I moved to the city, you know, I had like full sites on Broadway and just musicals and plays and that type of field. And I did my first short film while I was here. And I was like, wait a second, this is actually what I like about acting. I like subtlety. I like nuance. I like very realistic acting. And so I started really diving full into that. And here we are today.
I love it. You mean you don't like bursting out into song going, ah, but that's so realistic.
When they say cut, that's when I start Actually, I realize my anxiety, when I get like a little bit antsy, I'll start like tap dancing around. I think I did that on set, right? Doesn't he? I start like tap dancing all the time when I was like that's so embarrassing. That is so embarrassing.
Well, I also read that you do improv and create content on TikTok, right? Is there any specific like type of content or just a variety of stuff?
You know, you're really exposing me. You're exposing the musical theater kid in me today, which is I did a little bit before. I haven't recently, but a lot of musical theater niche jokes. I had like an opt down series for a while where like the joke is in our field that people love to opt up these big songs and show off their range. And I'm like, what if we opted down, guys? So I would just take these like big, like defying gravity numbers and just take it down. And people were like, oh, is she serious? Or are they kidding? And then it went off. It was funny.
That's hilarious.
And Destiny, where are you from and how did you get your first start in the biz?
Yeah, so I am originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I grew up on top of a theater, actually, an apartment building that the bottom floor was it's called Spotlighters Theater, and it's been around for over 50 years now. And my first kind of experience was being in a theater camp at that theater. It was a Shakespeare theater camp that I fell in love with theater and just playing around. We actually did 12th night, but it was 50s style. So we had like poodle skirts and like all these things and then like saying this crazy language, and I fell in love with it. I went to a magnet like middle school. I went to Baltimore School for the Arts for high school. I had the same Shakespeare teacher as Tupac. That's like my fun fact. Anyway. I
love that. Oh my God.
And fell in love with the craft. I think being in like a really high performing like professional environment in high school just had me like already looking that way when it came to college and just wanting to be really serious about like what institution I went to and just what environment I placed myself in to be able to go to school, but also be able to audition and do things outside of school. So once I auditioned and was accepted in New York University, I went there. I graduated just last year, but my 4 years there was fantastic because I was able to get the training in person, but also I auditioned for films all over the place. So that was kind of my goal, was to like audition for like 100 auditions. And I did some short films for NYU, for New York Film Academy, even all the way in like Montclair State University, which they were like, "You're all the way in New York. What are you doing here?" And so I really fell in love with film and being able to. I really love the transition. I feel like being a stage actor first, it's so great to be able to transition, because I feel like you're taking the macro and making it micro. So you're like, everything just feels so like so specific, and just like everything's a choice. And yeah, I fell in love with it and ended up in a feature film. What?
I know. I mean, you guys are so well schooled in this. Like, I was wondering if like they'd be like, well, I just auditioned and it happened. But like, I mean, you guys are like, I went to school, was in a magnet school. I'm well trained. I mean, this is a pretty amazing.
We've interviewed a variety of ladies and gentlemen, and like, we never know where they're coming from. Some people are like, I just did it on a whim.
Oh my God. I was walking down the street and we have heard that, or someone came up to me, and then you guys are like, you put in your time.
Yeah, really the hard work. But I have to ask both of you ladies, what horror films were on your radar growing up, and did any of them have an impact on you?
I feel like I really loved psychological thrillers growing up. I would love to play like a seriously demented character one day. But I think like Silence of the Lambs, the Saw series, that was really where I lived. I loved like criminal thrillers as well. So like Dexter, and I think like now the more recent version of that is like You, but like those type of shows, I feel like I really had an affinity for growing up.
How about you, Bridget?
I was actually deathly afraid of horror films growing up. So I kind of avoided them at all costs, which is hysterical, because now, at least experiencing the acting side of the horror genre, I'm like, wait, this is incredible. Like, this is my bread and butter. I love it. So I think I slowly started getting kind of like, oh, okay, this is, I can watch these and not like cry myself to sleep. It was, I think Get Out is what started that. I like that psychological horror train too. And I was like, okay, like I did it. I feel okay after this. And it's on my 2024 bucket list to really dive head first into all the lost time I have to make up for in the horror genre.
Oh my God, we can give you tons of recommendations.
Matt would suggest Halloween. I'm going to suggest the original Friday 13th, 1980. But
yeah,
what you want?
Start with the original Halloween. Have you guys seen the original Halloween? Oh my God.
So
my heart.
Neither lady has seen Halloween.
Neither. They both said no. This podcast is over. I'm so sorry. No. My favorite horror movie, my favorite movie of all time. You've heard of it. John Carpenter, Jamie Lee Curtis's first role. It's just an amazing, yes, it's a slasher movie, but the way they build suspense, the music, it's just the creepiest of the creepy. And then Tim is a big Friday the 13th
Now, not as classy, but
but still fun, tons of fun. We will always give you horror recommendations if you need it. So moving on to Hell House LLC Origins to Carmichael Manor. By the way, it's such a mouthful to say. HHLOTCM. Now, just in case our listeners have not seen it yet, Bridget plays Margot Bentley, a net sleuth who is documenting an unsolved family murder from the 80s that occurred at the Carmichael Manor. And Destiny plays Bridget's girlfriend, Rebecca Vickers, who is going along with Bridget just this one last time to help her document everything. So starting with Destiny this time, how did you hear about this film, and what was the audition process like for Rebecca?
Yeah, so as I mentioned a little bit earlier, my senior year of college, I set a goal for myself in a class of mine that I had that was, it was taught by a commercial casting director, but she was really focusing on like how to take control of your career. And a huge part of that was like setting goals for yourself, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. And my like short-term goal was to submit to 100 auditions. So I went on Backstage, the lovely Backstage. I used Actors Access as well, but this role happened to be on Backstage, which I almost like ended my subscription for Backstage, and Hell House like kept me on. So I, submitted to this movie. It didn't say Hell House Origins or Hell House anything. It just said the Carmichael Manor. And I auditioned for the role of Margot, because I think he had everyone audition for Margot just to see that side of every actor, and then he would like place you where he thought you fit. And I submitted, and I hadn't heard anything for a while, so I just assumed I hadn't gotten it. And then Steven reached out, I think, with like a callback sides, and then that turned into an improv audition that he would schedule with you. We had like calls in between where he would just like, show his personality, got to get to know Steven and how great he was. And then after the improv audition, I received a call. I was actually the McDonald's that is right across from Tish on 721 Broadway. I was in the like top area of that because he like said like, hey, can you talk for 5 minutes? I was like, okay, I gotta go somewhere. I was in McDonald's. I was like, hey, what's up? I'm just chilling. Like,
hey, I'll take a 9-piece chicken McNuggets, medium fries. Hold on, Steven. And a large drink. Yeah, what do you want?
You want anything? Yeah. Yes. And he let me know that I got in the role, and I was so excited. And the rest was history. I just spent the rest of my time figuring out how I was going to be able to leave my senior year for 12 days so that I could film for 10 days so that I could film. But my teachers were so understanding and so excited for me. So it was the best experience.
Wow. And same question for you, Bridget.
Yeah, very similar experience. I was on backstage and I saw the Carmichael Manor, had no other information. And I very much was in that grind set of, okay, go, like apply. It's like a numbers game at the end of the day. And I had gotten the Margot callback, submitted some of my self-tapes, not trying to put my heart into anything just yet. And then got an email that was like, hey, can you do a couple more? I was like, sure, I would love to. So I did a couple more, trying to keep my, like, again, level-headed. I'm like, don't want to be ghosted. Like, that's the acting world. I'm like, just keep a level head. And then I finally got that final callback, and I'll never forget. It was the night before, and I had already kind of had an idea of who Margot was in my head. And I sat there and I was laughing because I'm like, all right, it's time to use these 11 or 12 years of training that you've got. And I had to make that decision. I'm like, do I want to invest into this whole story of this person and give it the best that I got? Because I'm like, you can not put that much work or heart and soul into this, but I'm like, at the end of the day, you will always regret it if you don't. So I sat there, I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to do a long character analysis. So I was like, boom, 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 all the night before, ready to go. And then I love improv too. So I was very excited to have this experience with Steven, and I loved him, and it felt so great. And then I didn't hear anything for a few weeks, and I was like, oh, this always happens. It's fine. Just move forward. And this is actually the first time I'm telling this story. I actually almost didn't do Hell House. I originally declined it because I got a different offer for a season of shows in Colorado. So I found out really last minute. So I accepted it, and I was in Colorado for a different gig. And I then got the message from Steven about maybe 5 to 10 days into this gig, and he was like, hey, do you have time to talk? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then Steven was like, I would love for you to play Margot. And I was like, when is filming again? When does it start? And it conflicted with my gig by maybe a few shows. And I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? And he was like trying to move some things for me, but it still didn't work out on both fronts. And then I remember sitting there, and I shot him a text, and I was like, hey, Steven, I don't think it's going to work out this time. I'm sorry. Like, I tried my best. I know you tried too. And I said, I have the text. I look at it quite often where it's like, sorry, I can't do it. And he was like, wow, okay. Like, I respect that. Like, maybe in the future. And I know the next message, it was a 21-minute gap of me going, I feel like I just made the biggest mistake ever. And I one last time went on Google, and I was like, okay, let me just like look into this project again. Let me look into this man, Steven Cognetti, and like figure this all out. And then I realized I was like, oh, Hell House LLC. This is, I see now. And I was like, I did just make the biggest mistake of my life. So 21 minutes later, I was like, Steven, hold on, wait, let me try one more thing. Hold on. And then I talked it out, made it work. And I Thankfully, Steven didn't recast it in 21 minutes. That is all I'll
Oh
say.
my God. See, what I'm thinking is you must have looked up our Happy Horror Time interview with Stephen Cognetti. And when you heard that, you're like, I got to do this movie.
That's exactly it. Exactly.
She listened to the first 21 minutes.
She was like in 20 minutes into that interview, you're like, I'm doing this. No, that is a great story. And I'm so glad that Stephen, and we know Stephen too, a very nice, a humble guy, and like that he wasn't like, oh, sorry, you made a bad you know what I mean? Like
the best.
Yeah, like it wasn't.
Okay. Like, sure.
Wow. No, that is an amazing story. I'm wondering, well, Destiny, had you seen any of the Hell House LLC movies prior to your audition or after you got the role? Did you like go back and watch them to catch up?
Yeah, I hadn't seen them beforehand, but I watched them afterwards, and we actually had like a screening party while we were waiting for the movie to come out. Me, Bridget, and Victoria, who's another actress in the film, we had like this like watch party to watch them all together. But yeah, it was a very like out of body experience to be watching the films and knowing that I was going to be in the next one. Like I had never had that experience before. And I really loved the first one. And I would like, I feel like I kept on like transitioning from just like, I cannot believe that this is like the franchise I'm about to be a part of, to just like admiring the movie, to then like, how can I like analyze this? And like, what can I take from this to like know, like, what does Steven like in his actors? And like, I think I was really, intimidated at first, I think, like with the concern that I had of like, how am I going to be this realistic? Like, how are we going to improv on set? Like this found footage style, it just felt like there was so much that the actor could do wrong, I think, in my head, that I was like, oh my God, I cannot mess this up. This movie is too good. And the actors were just insanely talented. And just to see that as like, okay, like I have to prepare. Like when we get to shooting, like we're going to be shooting 10 to 15 pages a day. Like I have to just step my game up, because this franchise, like I cannot let the franchise down with my, with my acting.
Well, you definitely didn't. Neither of you did, because both of your performances were amazing. So yes,
And Bridget, did you see the films prior, and do you have a favorite one of the three?
Yeah, I hadn't seen them before I got the role, but it's so funny. I first read the origin script before I watched any. So that was my first taste of it. And so I kind of understood who Margot was at this point. And I'm like, okay, Margot knows everything. I'm like, it's time to study. So like when I watched the first Hell House, it's because also you remember my brain, I was like, okay, horror, oh God, like here we go, I'm gonna jump into this. But I took it in a very analytical mindset. I had my little notepad, and whenever like things were revealed, I was like, great, perfect. And then I was like, grr. And so I was just really in researcher mode for getting ready for the exposition of what Margot knows. And a lot of things that she knew that weren't necessarily revealed in the plot. There was a lot of like nuance and a lot of, in my opinion, things that Margot kind of was like, oh yeah, the Abaddon. And I'm like, no, Margot knows about the Abaddon. She's playing it really cool, but she's got a lot going on in there. So I really watched them with, okay, let's piece things together kind of mindset. So trying to already watch it through the character's lens,
Yeah, well, that brings us to, because the next question was going to be, well, Bridget, after being cast as Margot, what preparation did you do for the role, especially to get into the mindset of being a net sleuth? But it sounds like you researched the movies and really took notes, like as a net sleuth.
Exactly. It was a lot of just connecting the dots, looking at all these characters and also piecing together what would Margot know, what would Margot not know based off of these films, and how does she fit into this world? And it was just, honestly, it just reaffirmed how much I love what I do, because it was just, I would go to a coffee shop every day, and we got really lucky. We had a few months with the script. I think we got the script in February, I want to say. So, and we shot in April. So through those months, like I was a little overwhelmed at first. I was like, okay, here's the roadmap. Like, here's the script. Time to get to work. And I just had so much fun and finding the nuance and the changes through the character, how she's different when Chase is in the room filming her versus when Rebecca's in the room filming her, when she's in Net Sleuther, like intense, like influencer mode, when it's a little bit more laid back, when it's a little bit more just like kind of trying to be casual, and just it's just so exciting. I love acting. I love it.
No, but that's cool. But also it is, because it's it's a tough role because you guys, well, your character especially, is not going into this without any knowledge. So you're right. And that, I think that was probably very well appreciated by Stephen, that you did the research so that you weren't just pretending to know, you actually did know, so you could really act like that,
And Destiny, how did you prepare playing Rebecca?
Yeah, I think it was definitely not the same journey, just because I feel like Rebecca was very much like not in the loop for so much of the lore and just like was in a whole nother world. But I think the prep was really learning the lines and like being familiar with the script. I have trouble keeping, like, when it comes to shooting for a film or something, I always like have trouble learning any lines that are not going to be like for the next day. Like I have a very like serious like chug and dump like strategy when it comes to that. That's very different when I'm like learning lines for like a stage play or something like that. And so I just found myself trying to be as familiar as I could with everything, and knowing that like I would be needing to memorize in the sequence that we were going to shoot, and not knowing that at the time. I was just like, okay, I have to get as familiar as I can with the script. And also I feel like Bridget was great in like recommending that we should like meet beforehand, so that we had like built a chemistry and like a relationship before like just shooting. So we felt like we did know each other. And so I feel like that was also part of our prep, was like Bridget came over to my apartment and we like learned about each other and just like became friends before set. And I feel like that was really great as well, and a huge part of the preparation. And then just like starting to take on Rebecca in the same way that I feel like I take on like characters that I really like admired watching when I was younger, where I like I had this whole like phase where I loved Monk and like Tony Shalhoub, and like I would like pretend I was Monk, and like I would like be like I'm gonna like and so like I feel like I would go through my life as Rebecca sometimes. Like I was like, I'm gonna take class like Rebecca, and like what would she do, and like in those small ways start to like try and meld my personality with Miss Vickers.
I love that you loved Monk of all characters. That's so cool and unique.
Can I also add, like, I'm so glad you brought that up, Destiny, because yeah, we met up before filming, and it was really cool because I didn't even expect it. I was expecting, maybe running some lines, just getting to know each other, but we were there for hours. It was at your apartment, and we just started talking. We got a deep dove into like the characters and their just their personalities and their relationship, their connection, their relationship to Chase, and all these different things. That was so wonderful. And I think especially with these two characters, I remember discussing not wanting to fall into the trap of like, I think Margot is the little engine that could through this film, and it's hard to find that balance of, like, where is her empathy? Does that exist in this? Because like there's a lot of gaslighting, there's a lot of like, no, my way or the highway, but keeping that engine going. And with Rebecca, like there's oftentimes a lot of fear and like making sure you don't fall into that trap if you want to speak on like not getting like too scream queeny, like, you know what I mean? We kind of talked about that.
That's really great. You guys really did your homework. I mean, Stephen must have been like, wow, my job is done. Like, I mean, you guys, like, I mean, it's not like, I mean, did he encourage you guys to meet up, or was that just like, hey, we're going to just do this. We're both in New York. Hey, that's great.
No, I mean, New York, hey.
Yeah, I really loved it. Matt and I are used to like seeing characters that are kind of one-dimensional. I mean, like,
how dare you say that about horror? No.
You really brought a depth to it,
and it has to be, but it shows. Like, I mean, I think the people that do the work, it really shows on screen. Like, we can definitely tell. I mean, writing obviously helps too, but especially in a movie like this with found footage, where you have to be natural and sometimes have to improv. Like, you really have to know the characters, and it definitely showed. One thing that we loved about both of your characters and how they're presented in the film is that not only do the two of you play a same-sex couple, but the movie didn't have to like announce it or make it a big deal. Like, they didn't have to say like, oh, and these two girls who are lesbians, or anything dumb like that. It just happened to be a couple, and we love that. So how did you both feel about playing a same-sex couple and how that was handled in the film? Whoever wants to go first.
I just want to shout out that I listened to your episode on Hell House, and I remember y'all talking about that, and I was like, yes, I totally agree. It was like super chill in that sense. I could speak on it too. I at first was like, okay, interesting. I didn't read the script initially. It was a fact I knew about Margot, and I was like, okay, I really want to handle this with care and grace and respect. And I'm not sure how this is going to be shown on screen, if it's going to be a big topic, if it's going to be just like a fact about this person. And it ended up, I think, just being a really, just a matter of fact. And I really respect how Steven went about it, because there could have, I think, in the hands of the wrong writer and or director, things could have been weird or misrepresented in that sense. And I feel like I felt super comfortable working with you, Destiny, too. We were on the same page, and I just felt like a safe space to just be myself and not, you know what I mean? Not judge anything, not be weird about anything, and not feel judged or weird about anything.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it was because of the set and the crew and Steven and Joe. Everyone was so amazing that it didn't feel, weird at all. And I think it was, I feel like it was an honor to like have been the first like same-sex couple in this like franchise, really. And it just felt like they were taking Hell House and doing something totally fresh and new. And with that, it also felt like there were just so many opportunities to explore just new dynamics and character and just relationship. And that freedom, I feel like, was just really nice to have as an actor. That was like, okay, how do we find our place in this franchise that like people already love, and they love it for these certain things, and like we're bringing something totally different into the space, and kind of embracing that and not feeling like it was anything negative at all. It was great. And seeing like reviews of people being like, yes, lesbians. Like, we love it.
Wait, was that our review? What was that our review? Yes, lesbian.
I think that's such an important question, and not the one that I've gotten yet. So I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, obviously we're two gay men, but like anybody should ask that. But again, it's like, it's not just that you played a same-sex couple, was that we appreciated how it was handled, because again, it's like, you know, as I get deep into, like, gay people have been portrayed like in the past where every time they're always struggling or being bullied or they're outcasts or things, or they have to mention it. It's like you have to come out. And, you know, a lot of straight couples, like if you were a straight couple in the film, it wouldn't be like, hi, and I am a straight individual on this. So I just love that you guys weren't a couple, but it never had to be mentioned. You just were a couple.
No, and I mean, as many horror films as Matt and I have seen, I mean, I'm always thankful because representation matters. I mean, you kind of want to see yourself a little bit on the screen.
And we see ourselves in you.
And so I'm Bridget.
So we also want to talk about the actual shoot, because a little birdie told us, and by the way, that little birdie is Devin Bandelli, who was the film's set designer, that you both didn't stay in the actual Carmichael Manor while shooting, but you did stay in a smaller house on the property that you thought was haunted. So Destiny, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh my God. Well, Bridget has the craziest story, but I think it's just very, it was totally jolting to be in this like huge manor shooting this like scary movie. And then like 1 or 2 in the morning, like walking, it's like pitch black through this like wooded like path to get to the, oh my God, the smaller house. And we actually, I would say it was haunted by a small rodent that loved my room. There was a hole in the wall in the room that I was staying at. And so it was just like, I had the craziest nightmares in that small house, but also dealing with this mouse who was like determined to haunt us. And I put a painting behind it, and then I woke up one day and the painting had been entirely moved, and I was like, I need to go.
The mouse or rodent had moved it. Wow.
Yes,
I mean, it was either
dresser painting moved.
It was either him or the Abaddon clown. I mean,
the ghost, right? And then Bridget received this phone call.
Yes, I got it. I think Stephen reminded us literally yesterday, and I was like, I think I blacked out this story, and then he told it again, and I was like, oh yeah, I did black out this story. But I remember it was one of our last days of filming, and I got a strange phone call. I want to say, I cannot remember if it was just like a very like bizarrely long number or if it was an unknown number. I think it was a really long one because I tried to call it back, if I remember. Yes. And I picked up because, you know, feeling chaotic. I was like, hello. And the phone was like, or the person was like, I'm here. And I was like, what? And they're like, I'm here. And then it hung up. And then I think I was right outside the side house, and then the door opened. And I was like, Oh no 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 no! Thank you.
It was DoorDash.
Wait, it was DoorDash. We've got your McDonald's order. We just thought that.
It wasn't me.
That's so funny. Wait. Oh, wow. I mean, you know what the funny thing is? It could have been DoorDash. I've actually gotten calls from DoorDash and it's weird numbers. So, but I'd rather go with the haunted store.
Yes, haunted is much better. So speaking of Stephen Cognetti, the writer and director of all 4 films, what was it like to work with him, Bridget?
It was, and I mean this, the best experience I've ever had. I sort of feel sad for me and Destiny because, and for everyone, but at least for me, because that was my first feature film experience. And to have him as our leader, I'm like, oh my God, how do I go up from here? I'm like, oh my God. He was a gem human, not only just as a person, but he was such a good leader and director. He was so great to work with. He was the perfect balance of, if I had any questions or I got confused or I had things about Margot I needed clarity on, he had those answers and he had those long conversations. We'd have phone calls about it and he'd give notes and talk about all these things. And also he was super receptive to my thoughts. Oftentimes he would come up to me and be like, hey, what do you think about this line? Do you think this is Margot? And if it was a yes or no, and we talk about why. And I think one of my favorite examples is actually Margot's last words. We decided upon it together. We were trying to figure it out because it was either going to be maybe an apology to Chase and Rebecca. And I was like, to be honest, I was like, Margot's not, she's sorry, but she's gone to the end to this point. She's just yelled at a clown, like down these stairs. She's shown her Gryffindor like vibes to the max. And I'm like, she's going out, like she's warning her sleuthers. That's her like passion. It's to the audience and it's not over. It's not, however you want to take that. But me and Steven decided together upon that line, that's just what a rare, beautiful experience to have. It's awesome.
That is really great. And Destiny, since this is a found footage film, you know, many of the shots are supposed to be either you, Bridget, or your co-star James Liddell, who played Chase, holding the camera. Did you ever actually get to film any of those sequences yourself, or were there just always other cameramen doing it and you guys just did the voiceovers?
Oh no, yeah, we filmed like everything. Like I feel like Josh was great and he would always like do like a secure take, but I think like most of the takes that you see in the film are Bridget and I filming, and it was such a great experience. I think to act in that way. I worked for a production company in high school and I still work for a production company now. So I have like film experience, but you don't want to see, like you want to seem like it's like amateur. And so I feel like acting through the camera in that way, like especially, I think one of my favorite things to film, and I don't think Josh filmed a single one, was the walking towards the closet, when Rebecca's walking towards the closet and like shooting that and like, literally like tears were like going down my face and I'm like scared and like there's nobody in the hallway, because that's what's so great about found footage is like there doesn't need to be like a huge lighting crew and like all these people that you have to like block out. Like I was in that hallway by myself holding this camera, like this creepy ball comes towards me. Like it felt like so much like the acting, it wasn't for the camera. So it ended up just feeling so realistic for me as the actor to be able to hold the camera and do all those things. And I think it made the acting, when we had scenes together, for example, like the scene between Margot and Rebecca, when I'm like screaming at her, like, and I want to leave and Chase has been missing. And I'm like, we have to go. If Bridget hadn't been behind the camera, I don't think it would have been as effective of a scene, because it just felt so electric because we were still creating that connection. And it was just so fun to film that way. I think that's my favorite way of acting now is found footage, just because it's so great to be able to use another instrument to tell the story.
Hey, I mean, there's a whole subgenre for it. So yeah, I mean, this may not be the last found footage film that you guys do. So, you know, Destiny, one of the scariest scenes in the film for us was that Zoom phone call that your character is part of, because like, you know, the ghost literally sneaks up behind you through a series of still photos. It's genius. What was it like filming that scene, and how actually was it filmed? Because, you know, viewers are seeing it as a Zoom call, but then there were all the still photos and such in there. So how did you guys film all of that?
Yeah, it was crazy. So it was definitely like, I actually think I looked at pictures from Steven's upcoming film that's coming out, 825 Forest Road, I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he had showed me pictures of that, and I had to imagine the scary ones because we actually had to take them. I feel like Devin was actually so helpful because she gave me lingo to use during the Zoom call so that I could feel like Rebecca Vickers. So she was really helpful with that. And then shooting. So it was a lot of stop start. And then Steven would give very specific directions. For example, make sure you turn your body back more this time. So it was a good blend of it was very technically shot, just to make sure that everything pieced back together well, but also, a huge journey into imagination. And then shooting the still images that you see was very crazy because I was definitely sitting there with the actress Kayla this close to my face, and her feeling her presence right there and how scary she looked. She looked that scary in real life.
Yes.
And taking those photos as well, it was crazy. And just I feel like throughout it I was I really hope it pieces together well, but it did, and it was fantastic. And I feel such a smart scare that I feel is very just speaks to the Zoom pandemic generation that I feel will define 2019 to now.
Yeah, such a highlight of the film. It was just I remember feeling goosebumps on it, because there's nothing scarier in me in any movies if you receive a text of someone watching you. It's just the worst feeling in the world. So you're clicking through the pictures, the person's getting closer. I'm I just cannot.
Oh
yeah.
And for either of you, were you genuinely creeped out? I mean, not acting wise, but just yourselves, creeped out of the whole experience.
Yeah. Was there anything specific during shooting that genuinely creeped you out? Not in the script, just walking through the hall. I mean, you've mentioned a few, with your haunted apartment, but anything that creeped you out when the cameras were off.
We've talked to people in the past. They're like, "Oh my God, it was summer camp. We had a blast." And everyone's getting chopped up. So,
Yeah, I can definitely talk a little on, I think, there is a lot going on and just a lot of stress as well, I would say. And I'm by no means a full-on method actor, but I like to make it the circumstances as real as possible, just because, and found footage is so helpful in that, like Destiny was saying, it's just a lot of you and the camera, and it's just buy in as much as you can. And so there would be days, I think as we kind of went on, me and Destiny talked about it, where I started realizing I would feel this anxiety starting to form in my chest that I've never felt before. And we got really lucky. We filmed a lot of it in chronological order, which was super helpful. But it's funny because, it gets a little bit scarier and scarier each day. So I'm like, oh, I actually feel this. It's since gotten better. But for a while I was like, whoa, I feel like I've now developed this new horrible symptom in my chest. But along with that, the more funny side of it, I just, whenever Joe would be wearing that clown outfit, because the spoiler, the death scene was always looming. It was one of the last things we did, and so whenever I'd see a glimpse of that mask or a glimpse of that, I was like, oh no, that's coming. And still to this day, if I see a picture on Instagram pop up of the clown, I'm like, ugh, God. Trigger warning.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, obviously, House LLC is known for that clown. And in this movie, they introduced multiple clowns, which makes it even scarier. And producer Joe Bandelli played the Abaddon clown when he's in motion. Well, one quick question. Did they have mannequins of the clowns and suits, or were there certain that were just mannequins and certain were suits, or were they always suits? That's what I didn't know in the movie. I mean, obviously we knew that Joe had a suit for the Abaddon clown. Did they also have a mannequin of the clowns, or was it always just people in suits wearing them, like the other clowns too?
Oh yeah, they were both mannequins. Yeah, they were both mannequins. And it was funny because there were some comment or reviews that would be like, oh, it was so obvious that there was somebody in that suit. And I'm like, no, it was a mannequin. But what I was going to say about Joe, yes. So Joe, especially towards the end when Joe was in costume, he loved so that there were rooms that would connect, so you could leave out and then enter in another way. And he would love being behind me and just being there and scaring us during shoots. And I actually have a picture And it's crazy, this picture. I'll have to send it to you guys.
Please,
it's
yeah.
a picture of Joe, but there's this like big black cloud around him. And it's like, there's no reason for that like cloud to be there. And this is like black thing that like covers up his face. And after I saw that picture afterwards, I was like, Joe, it's too much. This needs to stop.
And Bridget, is it true? I think Joe may have told us the very final move when he grabs your face that was kind of improvised, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. Wait, did he tell you he was going to do that? No. So, oh my God. So how was that for you?
For Margot, I felt horrible. She was struggling in that moment, but like part of me was like, because I am that kind of like, yes, and try things. Like I love the excitement of like not knowing what's coming. So like Bridget was like, yeah, but in that moment I was like actually like, oh, this is so scary. It was very frightening.
It took the clown to a whole new level because obviously you've seen the other films. It's like, in the first one, you never see the clown move. You just see him in different positions, which sometimes for me, that's even scarier than seeing him move. And then the second one, you kind of see him move. This one, he's full on like coming after you, grabbing you guys. And so, yeah, it's like it was raising the stakes with that clown in each film. Another thing is you both do a ton of running in this film, whether it's through the woods after the cloaked people are after you or running back and forth between the car, and then all while portraying this like intense amount of fear. And I just wanted to ask you both, how exhausting was this shoot? And did you have to do multiple takes of those really action-oriented emotional scenes?
I'll just say my face was completely broken out by the end of that week that we filmed. I was like, the stress, the loads of work that we did, again, all in a safe environment, of course, but just, it was, a lot of emotion, and your body really starts to feel it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like the pace of found footage is just so unlike anything else I've ever experienced that you're like, okay, we're, but actually grateful for that in a way, because I feel like a lot of the highly emotional scenes, we did it like max 5 times, where I feel like on another set, they would be like, okay, 5 times this way. And then we have to do another angle. And then we have to, there was a light in the background or something like that. Yeah, I think Steven was really, really kind. I think for me, the hardest things, we did a lot of takes of screaming. I think just because I had never screamed like as part of the audition. And I had never practiced like a horror scream in my like New York City apartment, just so I didn't have like the cops call me or anything. So I was like nervous about that. But once like the scream was like good, I think like Joe and Steven were like, let's get a whole bunch of takes of that. So there would be times where they would just be like, again, like more screams.
Funny enough, Joe and Devin Bandelli did tell us that we were supposed to ask you to scream on the podcast, but I also don't want to put you on the spot in your apartment. So we were totally asked to put you on the spot and do that, but I know you're in your apartment and don't want to scare people. But like, so
in the film had its premiere at the Telluride Horror Show last October, right? Did you both attend? And what did you guys think of the first time you got to see the film?
So we actually, since we're both in New York, we didn't get to go to that premiere per se, but we had our own little IFC Center premiere, which a lot of the cast and crew went to, and our friends and family. So that, I think I can speak for both of us when I say that was like the most out of body, magical, wonderful, incredible evening to just see our work happen, and with so many people that we love around us. I felt like the luckiest person on the planet that night.
Wow.
Yeah. And we had never seen the film before that. And I think like a lot of people were expecting us to have like seen it and like know what was going to happen, and to see your work for the first time on like a huge screen with like all these other people here. It was insane. And I don't think I would have wanted it any other way. Like, I feel like even if he had sent us the link, we would have like made a pact to like not watch it until the premiere. But it was a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine. And also to be it for your first, was this both of your first feature films?
Yes.
Oh, wow. And your first feature to be in, an established franchise, because it has a very dedicated and large fan base. It really does. Like, people love these movies. And I guess what I wanted to ask with that known is, starting with Bridget, how has your life changed since the film was released? Like, do you now get contacted by House LLC fans on social media?
I'm so glad you asked. Me and Destiny were just talking about this literally last night. And yes, I do. And they're all wonderful. They're all so sweet. They're all so welcoming. They have like the sweetest things to say, not only about our performances, but just the movie and how it made them feel. And a lot of people have been like, are you doing another horror film? Like, is there anything else we could see you in? And I'm like, I hope is my answer to that.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of, I don't know. I feel like I hit some highs and some lows through the process of just, you know, like it's a lot to look at yourself on screen and sit there and be like, you know, it's very different than theater in the sense of, yeah, I can perform one night and be like, okay, I thought this, I can maybe try this next time. But film is finite. It is the product. So sitting there and, you know, kind of taking things with an educational mindset rather than like oh, why did you say it like that? Or why did you do it like that? So there was a lot of highs and lows, but I think I'm coming out on the other side right now of starting to fully process this because it's been a whirlwind, and I'm genuinely so happy and I'm just so excited for whatever is coming next.
That's great. And same question for you, Destiny. Like, have you gotten any interesting messages from fans?
From any clowns?
Yeah, no clowns, thankfully. Oh my God. But yeah, it's crazy. I have a contact submission thing on my website, and I've gotten messages from people in Nigeria and like Russia and France, and I've seen like reviews in other languages, in Chinese, and it's crazy. Like I can't like fully comprehend that there's people who are all over the world that are watching Hell House and like appreciate the movie and enjoy it, and like, you know, being able to know that there's people who like enjoy watching this with their friends and family, and like that's something that they like that brings people together is so like it is crazy to me that I don't think I fully registered until it started happening. I was like, oh my God, like people watch this everywhere. Like people have Shudder everywhere. What?
Yeah. Well, I think we friend requested you guys right after we did the review of the movie, because I think Joe or someone had told you guys about it or something. And we're like, oh my God, we're friends with them on the Instagram. We were so excited. Yeah. But, you know, so it's pretty obvious there's going to be more Hell House LLC movies, especially since this entry was so well received. Now, knowing that even dead characters can be brought back for sequels, since this is a supernatural series, would you both be willing to come back as ghosts in a future Hell House LLC installment? Bridget, you go first.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's a great answer. Destiny?
One word. Yes, definitely. I literally have it on my bucket list. Like I want to be something supernatural. Anything Hell House related, though, I would literally be like the groundskeeper. Like you could pretend like I'm not Rebecca Vickers. If I could just be like an extra in the back, like whatever. If I could be on another Hell House set, I'm there.
Well, from your lips to Stephen Cognetti's ears. I mean, Ryan Jennifer Jones, who we actually got to interview at our live event, who was Sarah in the first one. She's in to bring back in all of them, even though she's been dead for a while. So in fact, we asked her if she'd do another one at it, and she's like, sure. I mean, like,
say yes.
I think she said yes, like if they would bring her back, but who knows, maybe you guys can meet her and you can all be dead people and more yeah, in the different yeah.
Right, I was going to say the Hell House Avengers.
I'm ready for it.
And we saw that Stephen Cognetti is now going to do a horror convention. Would you guys ever be up for doing one?
I would love to. If the demand was there by any means, I would absolutely show up.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
I will. A fun thing.
We'll tell you, as horror fans who attend some of these conventions, like for the people who we've had on the podcast who were kind of unsure about it, every time they attend one, it's like they absolutely love it, because like you get to see all these fans that probably contact you on social media, you know, come up and want to visit you, and it's like the greatest thing that, you know, to see people from their movies. This
one lady who was in the original Puppet Master, Robin Fretes, I'm pronouncing her last name wrong.
I think that's right.
And like after talking to us, she's like, I don't think people there's 14 puppet masters. So they're in, the original, everyone loves the original. And so it's like, it's something to think about, ladies, in your future.
I think Steven is new to conventions, but I'm telling you, he's going to see how much demand there is for him. And then if he shows up with both of you guys, chef's kiss.
I will say this, as an adult, as I pretend to be one,
as an adult, sort of
questionable. Hell House LLC is the only film franchise that actually made me, when I go to sleep, like a little nervous. Like, and it takes a lot because Matt and I see a lot of movies.
A lot.
So you guys should have like a badge of honor. Like, you're in a film
that makes him not want to go to sleep.
Yes. You give me nightmares.
Well, so before we wrap up, we'd love to hear what you're both up to today, whether you're working on any projects you can tell us about, or just whatever you're up to, or if you're school and classes, whatever. Destiny, do you want to start?
Sure. So I am a full-time theater teacher, which is so fun. I have like the best like fan club. They have all seen the movie and tell me about their favorite parts, and we'll like bring it in class and be like, I heard Miss Brown cuss in the movie, like things like that. But I'm also in another film, 12 to Midnight, that'll be coming out soon, I believe in the summertime, with one of the producers that was on Hell House that referred me to that. And I have a very small role in Stephen Cognetti's narrative that's coming out soon. So you'll hear a familiar voice in that soon. And
is 12 to Midnight horror?
It is a werewolf slasher film.
Yes.
Crazy. Lots of special effects. That was my first like heavy duty special effects. The werewolf, he's so great. His role right before that was in the national tour of Frozen on. So he went from that to being a werewolf slasher man. So we love range.
Nice. And how about Bridget? What have you been up to since Hell House LLC?
Yeah, I'm kind of in my producer, director, performer era at this moment. And I'm producing a show for the New York City Fringe Festival with my friend Yang. It's called In Harmony, and it's going to be in April. And I'm very, very pumped for it. I'll also be in it as well as Yang. And also, a couple short films that might be coming out hopefully soon. It's always like, it's coming out. And then it's like a year later and you're like, maybe this year. So hopefully those come out. And also producing and performing in a short film called This Sea Great and Wide with a couple friends of mine. So just trying to, keep up the audition, but also make your own work, just keep up the grind and stay creative.
That's amazing. And I'm sure you guys noticed already, but like Hell House LLC fans are so dedicated. Like they're going to follow both of you throughout your careers, like in a good way, not a creepy way. Like, I mean, like we talked to because when you become part of a franchise, like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and even the smaller ones, like Hell House LLC, people who like that, because we even noticed that with doing this live event where we screened Hell House LLC, the first one in LA, people who love these movies are going to want to be a part of everything related to them. So you guys have fans for life.
It's like, it doesn't compute, it's like, how is this real?
Yeah, no, it's great. So we have one last question for you both. And first off, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much. You guys have been amazing.
Thank you.
We asked this to everyone, and it's funny because I think Bridget already gave us like a tidbit that would qualify for this, which means we're going to have to ask you another one. But we asked this to every single person we interview. So we've made Steven do this, Joe do this. What is one thing you both can tell us about your experience working on Hell House LLC Origins to Carmichael Manor that you've never told any other interviewer, publication, or podcast? It can be something small, it can be something juicy, it can be anything as long as you have never told it in an interview and it has to do with your experience working on the film.
And since you're both actresses, make it up.
No, do not.
I have one.
Oh, okay, go. Yes.
Stephen Cognetti is a fantastic actor. And some of the moments in the movie literally are like me copying like acting that he did that he wanted me to do. So for example, the call button, like short video where I'm like the call button, he was very specific on like, he wanted it the gulp call button and he like acted it out for me. He was like I was like having trouble like seeing it, and he like acted it out for me like every single moment, and that's like what you see. So a lot of Rebecca Vickers is Stephen Cognetti's acting as well.
I love it. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I love it. A lot of Rebecca Vickers is Stephen Cognetti. How about you, Bridget? Any other? Because I know you told us it was about the almost not doing the project, which that's a great story. Any other tidbits you can give us?
That's definitely the main course of, wow, it's so close to not happening. First thing that popped in my head just now is Bridget and Margot, like, huge fan of the character Donald. I think that we need a spin-off of Donald. I think that I love Michael, the actor who played him. He's incredible. And I just think I'm ready for the world of Donald. That is the one thing I'll say. Was
Donald the one who had, when you first got to the house, is like the one who's talking about
like,
it?
Don't go in here.
Yeah, it's like, okay, everybody, like the very stern one. Yeah.
Yeah, I have an actual story. I don't know if we've told this yet on a podcast, but
good. Tell us.
One of the best improv moments that we had was when Donald was showing us, I believe it was Chase's room, which were the parents' room from the Carmichael family, and Stephen just really wanted us to improv in that room. So, like classic Margot asking questions, and Donald did his spiel, and so at this point, Margot was like, Rebecca, zoom into Donald, please. And so, of course, Rebecca zooms in. Donald's like looking at the camera, and I do you want to take it away, Destiny? Do you want to do the?
So she's like, so do you think he did it? Do you think he did it? Like the murder? Yeah, Arthur Carmichael did it. And he goes and he looks straight to the camera. He goes, "Is there any evidence?" And then like walks away.
Walked out of the room, and the fact that didn't make the movie, I was like,
oh.
I think do you think he did it? And then like it cuts or whatever. Funny. But we know is there
I think I remember
evidence?
He has like a weird look, but that's really funny. And I actually think, wait, what is the actor's name again? Sorry, Michael?
Yes, Michael.
Yes, because I think he followed our podcast too. Not that makes anybody any better than that. Actually, it made sense. No, because I think because I remember I was looking at people and I was like, oh, and I think one of the Carmichaels followed us too. I like how I called them their name in the film. One of the Carmichaels.
I'm so proud of us that we went this whole time without talking about how hot your brother is in the movie.
Oh, yeah, we all had a little crush on Chase. And,
I was honored. I'm like, I'm his sibling. Like, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. Wow.
I know. We were like, I think in our review, like Tim mentioned, the only thing I wish this movie had was a shower scene with Jason. We're like,
dirty.
Yeah, it's like he's like, why isn't Chase showering? I'm like, well,
I mean, I guess it didn't progress the plot.
I know, and then I think I had to remind him that he plays I was like, well, I don't think there's anything between them because one of the girls is his sister and they're both lesbians. Right. So, yes, but
clowns were interested.
The clowns were interested. Yeah. Anyway, thank you both. Seriously, this has been so much fun for us. I mean, like, we love this series. We love you guys. Your performances were really, really great. I mean, it really made the movie. It's one of our favorite installments in the series. So we hope to see so much more of you guys in this series and just, in whatever you guys do next, hopefully horror, fingers crossed. And and we will be in touch as to when the interview is coming up. But thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. This was so fun.
Yeah, incredible.
Oh, thank you. Okay, well, take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Talk to you.
Bye.
Bye. You guys are amazing.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Happy Horror Time.
If you'd like to support the podcast, please sign up to be a patron at www.patreon.com/happyhorrortime. As a patron, you get access to all our bonus content, which now includes 2 new bonus episodes every month, a monthly after show mini episode, access to our Discord community so you can chat with us directly, and the chance to review a film with us in one of our bonus episodes.
Patrons also get all our regular episodes ad-free and a day early, our monthly newsletter, the chance to vote in polls, and autographed Happy Horror Time stickers.
I'm Matt Emmert.
And I'm Tim Murdoch.
And we hope you have a happy horror time.